And today we are talking about cash eviction policies. What happens when your cache gets full and which item gets removed to make space. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how each policy works and when to use which one. Let's get started. If you want a deep dive in cache, I have a full video on it. Link is in the cards above. But here is a quick recap. Cache is a fast temporary storage layer. It stores frequently accessed data so it can be served instantly without hitting the database every time. But cache has a limited size. It cannot store everything forever. When it is full and a new item needs to be stored, something has to be removed. The rule that decides which item gets removed is called an eviction policy. That is exactly what we are covering today. Let me make this concrete. Imagine your cache has 5 slots A, B, C, D, and E. All 5 slots are full, and now a new item F needs to be stored. There is no space, so one of the existing items must go. The question is which one? This is cache eviction, and the answer depends entirely on which eviction policy your system is using. Choose the wrong policy, and frequently needed items keep getting removed. Your cache hit ratio drops, your database gets hammered with requests, and your system slows down. Choose the right policy, and the items your users actually need stays in cache, hit ratio stays high, database load stays low, and your system stays fast. There are 5 main eviction policies we are going to cover today. LRU, least recently used; LFU, least frequently used; FIFO, first in, first out, most recently used MRU; and random replacement. Each one uses a different logic to decide which item gets removed. Let us go through them one by one. First up, LRU or least recently used. The logic is simple. Remove the item that has not been accessed for the longest time. If something hasn't been used in a while, it probably won't be needed soon either. Look at the example on screen. Item A was accessed 5 minutes ago, B was accessed 1 minute ago, C was 3 minutes ago, D was 8 minutes ago, E was 2 minutes ago. New item F needs to come in. LRU looks at the timestamps and asks which item was accessed least recently. The answer is D, 8 minutes ago. D gets evicted, F takes its place. LRU is the most widely used eviction policy in production systems today. Redis, memcached, most CPU caches all supported. It works well because in most real world systems, if something hasn't been accessed recently, chances are it won't be needed again. Next, LFU or least frequently used. Instead of tracking when items were last accessed, LFU tracks how many times each item has been accessed. The item with the lowest access count gets evicted. Look at the example. A has been accessed 12 times, B only 3 times, C 9 times, D just 1 time, E 7 times. New item F arrives. LFU checks the access count and removes D, accessed only once. The logic here is if something has rarely been requested, it is probably not important. However, there is an important downside to know about. Every new item enters the cache with an access count of 1. This means a brand new item that is about to become extremely popular could get immediately evicted because it has the lowest count of all. This is sometimes called the cache pollution problem, and it is a real limitation of LFU in dynamic workloads. A was added first, B second, C third, and so on. New item F arrives. FIFO removes A, it was added first. Simple, but here is the problem. Look at the usage column. A was accessed 15 times. It was one of the most used items in the cache, but FIFO removes it anyway because it was added first. FIFO completely ignores how useful an item actually is. This makes it a poor choice for most real world workloads where access patterns matter. It works fine when all items have roughly equal importance and similar access pattern, but that is rarely the case in practice. Fourth, MRU or most recently used. This is the opposite of LRU. Instead of removing the least recently used item, MRU removes the most recently used item. Your first reaction is probably, that makes no sense. Why would you remove something you just used? But there are specific situations where this is exactly the right choice. The classic example is media streaming. Imagine you are streaming a video, the system loads segment 1, plays it, then moves to segment 2. Once segment 1 has been played, you are not going to go back to it immediately. You are moving forward. So the most recently used segment is actually the safest one to evict because the user has already consumed it. Look at the example. E was accessed just now, making it the most recently used. MRU evicts it and keeps the older item that might be needed next. This policy is specifically designed for sequential access patterns like streaming, file scanning, and database full table scans. Fifth and final policy, random replacement. Exactly what it sounds like. Pick a random item and evict it. No tracking, no logic, no intelligence whatsoever. Your first reaction might be, that seems terrible. And for most workload, it is not the best option. But here is the surprising thing. In situation where access patterns are completely unpredictable and random, a random eviction policy performs about as well as LRU or LFU. If there is no pattern to exploit, there is no benefit to tracking. And random replacement has one major advantage: zero overhead. No timestamps to maintain, no access counters to update. That is why it is used in CPU TLB caches where speed is absolutely critical and the overhead of tracking would itself slow down the system. Now, let me put LRU and LFU side by side because these two are the most commonly confused. They both sound similar, but they make completely different decisions. Look at the shared cache state on screen. Each item has two pieces of information: how many times it has been accessed and when it was last accessed. Item A 8 times 4 minutes ago, B 1 time 1 minute ago, C 5 times 6 minutes ago, D 3 times 2 minutes ago, E 6 times 9 minutes ago. Same cache, same item. Now let us see what each policy decides. LRU asks, when was each item last used? E was last accessed 9 minutes ago, the longest. LRU evicts E. LFU asks, how many times was each item accessed? B was accessed only once, the fewest. LFU evicts B. Same cache state, completely different items evicted. This is why choosing the right policy for your specific workload matters so much. Let me quickly put all 5 policies side by side. LRU evicts least recently accessed, best for most general use cases, watch out for tracking overhead. LFU evicts least frequently accessed, best for workload with consistently popular item, watch out for new item being unfairly evicted. FIFO evicts the oldest item added, best for simple uniform pattern, watch out because it completely ignores actual usage. MRU evicts most recently accessed, best for sequential and streaming pattern, wrong choice for most other cases. Random evicts any random item, best when access patterns are truly unpredictable, has no intelligence but also no overhead. Keep this table in mind when making decisions in your own systems. Let us recap the 6 key things from today. 1. The cache has limited size. Eviction is unavoidable when it gets full. 2. LRU removes the least recently accessed item most widely used in production. 3. LFU removes the least frequently accessed item, tracks how many times each item is accessed. 4. FIFO removes the oldest item, simplest policy but ignores actual usage pattern entirely. 5. MRU removes the most recently accessed item, best for streaming and sequential access. 6. The right policy depends on your access pattern. When in doubt, start with LRU. If you remember just these 6 points, you now have a solid understanding of cache eviction that most developers do not have. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope the visual examples made each policy easy to understand and remember. If you have any questions or if you want me to cover any of these policies in more depth, drop a comment below. If this video was helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more such videos in this series. See you in the next one.